Yes, guys, welcome back to SFeatleyTV, and we're here for the back pages, another episode of the back pages, because we've been so busy with the Euros that we've been not really focusing too much on transfer activity. Well, some people have. I've tried not to, but loads of stories to get into. We've got Ray from City Fan TV. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right.
Good. We've got Brad from Leicester Till I Die. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Thanks. Cheers. I'm very good.
Brilliant. And we've got Ankit from Chelsea Fan TV. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Nice to be back. I know it's been a while, but yeah, definitely looking forward to the chat.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get into it then. So, yeah, where should we start? There's loads of transfer news. Should we start right with? Should we get the Sancho thing out of the way and get it out and done with? Right.
Yeah, unlike Manchester United,
What?
you can't get this. You said let's get the Sancho thing over and done with, which is something Manchester United seem to not be capable of doing.
Yeah, that is a point. That is a point. Right.
City reject, isn't it, Jadon Sancho?
What?
City reject.
I think so.
That's it.
That's the last time I heard.
Yeah.
Well, he's a Chelsea fan.
I bet you won't say that. I bet you ain't saying that now. I bet you'd like to have him.
Me? The thing is, he won't get in our team, would he? That's the problem. He can't even get in the England side. So how's he going to get in the City side? You know, he can't get ahead of.
I think him not getting into England side is why he wants to come back to England, isn't it? Yeah. His record's gone unnoticed in Germany for what he's done over there.
Yeah.
But if England going to play Sterling up front, if they're going to play Kane
Saka in his position.
And Saka, Saka's done all right. You know, he should be looking for a move to City. Saka, he's doing all right, but I don't think he's going to leave. Is he just buying a new house?
I think so.
Yeah. So
big house as well, big valued house as well.
So he's staying in London for now. Right. So let's bring the latest up. This came out on the 23rd of June yesterday. So Manchester United increased offer for Borussia Dortmund winger to 72.6 million. So once again, they are just sort of giving in to what Borussia Dortmund want. So they're not sort of. I think Borussia Dortmund, they know they've got like Manchester United on the end of a string, and they can do what they want with them because they know they're that desperate to sign him. But I mean, what do you make of it all, Ray?
Look, yeah, you're right. They've got him. They've got them over a barrel, haven't they? They know United wanted him last season. They didn't get him. Borussia Dortmund were holding out. They've seen United pay through the nose of people like Harry Maguire because we're desperate for him. So they know if United are desperate enough, I think it's about 10 million euros extra they want as a guarantee. They want guaranteed. Is it 85 or 95 million? So I think from what I was reading today, the valuations are about 10 million euros off. And I just think United will just get closer and closer because they want him. They really do want him. He wants to go there, apparently. And they'll just make up that money shortfall to make the deal happen because I don't see them getting to the end of the summer without buying him. So we'll get the job done, get it over and done with. I can see them coming very close, if not bang on the money that Dortmund want.
Yeah. Brad, what do you say?
I think this is just another sign to show that Manchester United, even the most probably dedicated, deluded, whatever word you want to use for them, fan, has now realised that whilst they still just about regain the power to attract these players, they don't hold the power in the transfer market. They used to really be able to stomp teams out and get them down and they would cave. Now it's the other way around. You've seen it with a few deals they've done before, and this one looks like, normally if Manchester United just missed out on a transfer, they'd go back in for the player and go, right, beans, as you pissed us around, he's 50 million and you won't get any more for him, and they panic and sell him to Man U for a cheaper deal. Whereas what we're seeing is, like Ray said, they're over a barrel. Borussia Dortmund are going, we know you've got it, we know you want him, so pay it. And this is how Manchester United for the next couple of seasons are going to have to do it if they're going to get back to what they believe they should never have gone away from, which has been the top side in English football. They're going to have to admit that they need to pay these fees, otherwise they're going to faff around Jordan Sancho. And we've seen it already this transfer window. As much as he might like to go to Manchester United, if they keep faffing around and keep messing up bids and, like, I don't know, maybe they up this or change it and add add-ons to try and make it work, and Dortmund go, no, someone else might come in of a bigger calibre, and he might go, well, if United keep faffing around and you're going to meet their demand straight away, I'd rather talk to this club than yourselves. They've got to act quick, like Ray says, and get this done. Otherwise, they could embarrass themselves a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Ankit, what do you make of the whole saga with it?
Yeah, so actually, like, it's interesting what Brad says, right? Like, one of the points that he touched upon is basically, about Jadon Sancho being happy in Germany, because that's where he's kind of, got the name, right? Really, like, he was a City reject, as I said as well. But at the end of the day, Dortmund have two saleable assets right now. So for them, obviously, it's Erling Haaland and Jadon Sancho, right? But Erling Haaland has a, I think, clause of around 65 to 75 million next summer. So any profit that they'll get over Haaland, obviously he's not going to go for cheap, but if a bidder comes in for Haaland, say for 120 million max, right, they'll probably take that and play hard on Sancho. So that is maybe one reason why Dortmund are also kind of waiting, and they know that Manchester United want him, and in worst case, yes, he's a Chelsea fan. Like, if, say, for instance, Chelsea don't get a striker, which is our primary target this summer, we might as well, convert Havertz as a full-time striker and, get in Sancho, right? And that can be a last bid as well. Who knows? So Dortmund knows that, these are clubs wanting both their players. I think they'll play it hard, and it's best for Manchester United for a second summer to go for it. Otherwise, it might be too late, because Sancho, like Brad said, might be happy staying in Germany for another year. Who knows?
Obviously, there's a risk. I was going to say, Stephen, there's a risk to Dortmund in all this as well. They're playing hardball, injured, and they need the money, and the deal's off. And then they're over a barrel. If they need to sell somebody, then it's got to be Haaland, and they might have to sell him for a lower valuation. And what Pep screwed City around with, if you remember a couple of seasons ago in the Community Shield, he played Leroy Sané against Liverpool. He got injured. He was going to get sold that summer. He was going to get sold for about, I think that we were talking about 80 million quid. And he ended up getting injured. So City paid his wages for another season, paid for his rehab and everything else. And then he was sold the following summer for, I think, under 50 million. So Pep cost City about, I think I worked it out at the time, between 30 and 40 million quid. So there is that risk as well. So Dortmund will play hardball, but you never know what might happen. If he gets a bad injury, we hope he doesn't. But if he gets a bad injury, that puts them on the back foot. So maybe they're willing to compromise as well.
Yeah, but you could argue the same, that he goes to Man U after the Euros and then gets injured in pre-season and he's out for 8 months. Everybody's going to. I see your point, Ray. It kind of works for both, and I suppose that's just, like you said, depends on which one of them was willing to take the risk. Are they willing to hold out and push it, or are Man U willing to pay it? And hopefully we find out, because it's getting a bit boring in sense, Man U and Sancho, for me.
Oh, it sounds like a love drama, doesn't it? Right, ready for part 4, part 5, part 6.
Jeremy Kyle, part 6 documentary.
No. Honestly, it's ridiculous how long this has been going on now. But it shows how desperate some players, some teams will be for one particular player. And like Man United wants to pay 85, and Dortmund want 95. Yeah, well, the thing is that I heard somewhere that they asked for one price and then matched it, and then, or they offered just a little less, and then they said no, like, we're now going to up that valuation. So yeah, but
Do you think
Yes.
Dortmund have looked at their handlings in past transfers, i.e. the most notable one, and Maguire, and looked at how Leicester handled it and gone, well, if they can do it, so can we? You know, in a sense, they're not willing to take it, and they're going, well, if you're going to disrespect us by stupidly going 2 million under our value, and you might as well just pay the extra 2 million, we're going to then change our equation of him. If you only think he's worth that, well, we value him more. I don't know. It just seems like that.
It sounds like it, innit? But whatever it is, they know like they've got him over a barrel. I mean, they're not in a rush to sell him. Right then, Man United are obviously in a rush to buy him. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But
yeah, Dortmund are very good, right? Even historically, like in the recent past, they did Dembele as well as with us with Pulisic, right? So we knew that we were going to get a transfer ban, and they were, able to sell Pulisic for 50 odd million after a season where he hardly performed for them, right? So they are really good at it. Like, they might as well do what Brad said.
oh, this is how their model works. They've been great at bringing up players like that and selling them on for massive
The only
amounts of
stupid
money.
transfer I think they had, which was, I don't get why. I mean, I know there's rivalries in football, but it was so petty. Was it Lewandowski left them on a free?
Yeah.
And that was, to me, that just doesn't make sense. I don't care how much you hate your rivals, make money off them then. Don't let his contract, but that's the only thing I could ever begrudge them for doing, for being so up their own arse about a rivalry, was letting him go for free. If you consider the player he was and has become, that was the only bit of bad business I think Borussia Dortmund have done. You're right, though, Ankit. They are very smart in what they produce and what they sell.
Yeah. But anyway, moving on, and something that I wanted to talk to, I would love to have a debate with you, Brad, is, and I don't believe this at all. And I just think I don't get why he would want to come, but Arsenal targeting or opening up talks with James Maddison for around about £60 million. With I think there's probably a player involved in that as well. And what do you make of this, Brad?
See, I understand where you're coming from, thinking, well, why would he go to Arsenal? But it is actually a more plausible transfer than you think. Arsenal have already come out and stated that their main target, who I believe today or in the last couple of hours has been ruled out, was Martin Odegaard. They wanted to bring him back to the club. Obviously, didn't want a loan, which I don't know, but I believe Odegaard was their main target to get in. But this is plausible with the money they're offered, and I believe the player that was offered, that was rumoured to be linked with the offer, I believe it was 50 million plus. This player, that I admire, was Joe Willock. I think that's a brilliant deal for Leicester, and I think because as much as I like James Maddison has this innate ability to win you a game, but he also has an ability to not bother or look like he's not bothering. Sorry, should I say? I don't like to say that players never bother, but sometimes he goes missing. And when he returns, he seems to have that first 20 minutes where he's chasing the ball and trying to do things. And if he can't get it back up to the standard he used to be, his shoulders slump. And out of all the players that have been linked with moves away from Leicester, whether it's Fofana, Tielemans and Maddison, I've always stated I'm least concerned about Maddison, especially if the price. If we're going to get 60 million and someone like Joe Willock of quality in, I'm happy for that deal to go through, because I actually think, even though Arsenal had a joke of a season, we've all get extreme banter to yourself and other Arsenal fans over it. Arsenal still that calibre of club that you'd say hold a strong shout for European football. So he is probably still going to get what he's already getting at Leicester, which is some form of European football on a consistent basis, providing Arsenal don't go the wrong direction. But he can't predict that. As you know, you're looking at statistics and what they've done over the years. Whether we banter them or not, Arsenal have made European football. it might not be of the quality and stature that Arsenal fans are wanting, but they are still keeping hold and getting these players in. And if Maddison goes there, he might find that he has a freer role, maybe even less competition for his positions with the players we've been linked with and are bringing in. Maddison might find it harder to be the golden boy under Rodgers, and he might feel he'll get that under Arteta.
Yeah, that's a point. Wait, I mean, I'm going to ask you, what do you think of it? Because, like, one of the offers we apparently one of the bids ran about £51 million, around that price range that they've seen to submit a bid for. But yeah, do you think this is a wise move for Maddison?
I'm trying to remember how much he came from. Was it Norwich? And they paid a lot of money for him. Was it 35 million or something?
I don't actually think it was that high. I think that was with add-ons. I'm assuming them add-ons would have been met, but I think the original price, if I'm correct, was about.
Let me have a look at. I can look that up
because it wasn't cheap. So and he's improved in the time he's been at Leicester.
Yes, but so have Leicester, and that's my thing. That's my point. With it, not just I
don't think Leicester need the money. So.
No.
But if they're going to sell him, I think they'll make
it was £22.5 million.
Okay, fair enough. It was still a decent amount of money at the time, and I think if Leicester are going to let him go, they'll do a Harry Maguire with him as well. Because, as I said, I don't think they need the money. They're not. I don't think they're desperate to sell. Yes, they are buying new players. I don't think they're desperate to sell, and Arsenal are desperate to buy. You can see that with Ben White, £50 million, and other things that they're trying to get through the door. So I think Leicester just, if it was me, I'd just put a figure of 60 million and say take it or leave it. And I think Arsenal will offer somewhere in the 50s.
Yeah. Well, we've actually apparently, if the papers are true, we've actually quoted them back a price to saying if you want him, 70 million, because
there you go.
Whilst Maddison's apparently said he'd be happy for a new challenge, he's like a lot of players, they've already said, but we're more than happy to stay at Leicester. So that kind of backs what Ray says. We've never been in a position since these owners have come in to actually need to sell. And I think that's why we've heard the 60 million plus player. They're trying to get the 70 million that way towards it. Yeah. So it does sound like a thoughtful transfer.
I'm not sure that Arsenal got any players that Leicester would want. And if they're chucking in a player worth about 10 million quid, I'm not sure Leicester would want or need them. But it's interesting what you said there, Brad. Where clubs, once they've got the backing and the support and a bit of money and a little bit of success, they're not under any pressure to sell players. It happened to City. City, we'd have to sell our best players. Back in the day when Sven was there. I remember when we sold Sean Wright-Phillips, we needed to sell him. I think that was just before Sven, where we'd have gone bankrupt. We were out of money, so we had to sell him. But then we got to a stage where we don't sell our best players. I'm trying to remember. No, you don't. The last few players who have left, have been Sane and Sancho. And Sancho, we couldn't do anything about. And Sane, we couldn't do anything about because they were at the end of their contracts. We weren't selling them with 2 or 3 years left on their contracts. We've not been forced to do that with anybody now. So I think that's one of the worries. We're not going to talk about it. It was like why they don't want Newcastle to get owners who are loaded. Because if they do get any good players, they don't have to sell. They can hold on to them for that extra year. Aston Villa with all their extra money have managed to hold on to Grealish. I mean, if they'd gone down, I think Grealish would have left. But they've managed to hold on to him. Next season or last season, they've done better. They might even hold on to him again when he sees what they're buying. And it's the same with Leicester and others. As soon as you get a bit of money and stability, you can keep your players.
And it benefits the player to know that they've got security financially as well. They know they've got the financial security. So if Leicester have to reorganise the contract with Maddison for this instance, and he goes, I know I said I'm happy to stay, but Arsenal my agent told me Arsenal were willing to add an extra 50 grand to my wages. What are you, Leicester are going to go, okay, well, we will do it this. And Leicester are quite good at structuring their contracts. Known fact that we're quite good at restructuring contracts. We all remember how easy it was for them to restructure taking everybody's release clause out after they won the title. and players were happy to do it. So again, backing your point, Ray, because of the financial structure of the club, it's easier for players. Like you said, if we was in the situation you was in when you had to sell your players, we'd have lost Maddison and Tillemans' transfer window. We'd have lost them for 30, 40 million. You're seeing, we fortunately hit the flip of the coin where these players turn around and go, if we get our valuations met, we wouldn't mind talking to them because it's always nice to have a new challenge in football. But we're very happy here because you meet our criteria, whether that's wage demands or success. And luckily, at this time, Leicester are doing both, hitting European football, which must have been a bare minimum for the players like Tillemans and Maddison, and they're getting a wage structure met. So it's a good point to be in.
But so basically, just touching on Brad's point, right? Like, I understand, where they're talking about the wage structure and basically, making use of an asset, right? But Leicester, if you've seen the entire last season, they probably work best. I know that Maddison has been flashy at times, like this comment says, but for me, Tielemans, Maddison, and NDD probably are, one of the best midfielders that there is in the Premier League on form, right? As in, to let that go, even at like a great price, for me will be like a question mark. I know Leicester has great scouts. I wish Chelsea had those scouts for sure. But Brad, like, do you know anyone else who can kind of go to that level, Maddison level? I know there are understudies, but currently I don't see anyone playing that hole, right? And even other teams like Arsenal, yes, he might get the games, but do they really play that formation that Leicester do? I don't think so. Why would he go?
I mean, that's something Maddison will have to know. At the end of the day, it all depends on if Arsenal probably trust a guy who puts the cones out backwards to play a system that suits Maddison better. So I think sometimes when you bring in a caliber of player, you have to make that correct decision on which one or a group of players you decide to build that around. And if you're bringing in someone of Maddison and you're going to spend the 70 million, right, to get him, then you can't just turn around and go, right, we've paid 70 million for you, so fit into our system. You've got to go, right, we've got Aubameyang, we've got Maddison, we've got Willock, etc. We've got these group of 4 or 5 players. Aubameyang works best in this position, Maddison works best there, Willock works best there, and we're going to build the rest of the squad for their strengths, because if the other 6 or 7 players get up to the collective strengths of the other 3 or 4 players, we're going to have a blinding season. I think if you're spending that much money, you have to have some consciousness that you're going to have to adapt something if you haven't already got it there to play to their strengths. Because if you're right, if you put Maddison into an Arsenal team but they don't play him in his 10 role or a role of strength, he's not gonna flourish at Arsenal. So Arsenal also then have that that moment where when he sits down and goes, right, how are we going to do things at Arsenal that makes me want to pack my bags at Leicester and move up to London? Well, this is it. And if he's looking at going, so you're going to ask me to play a role that I don't know how to play in a position I'm not very good at and not give me the creative freedom I'm given under Rodgers, I think the taxi's just about to leave. I'm going to see if I can catch him. That's exactly what's going to happen. You know what I mean? He's going to run for the taxi and go, sorry, Rodgers, about that. I must have banged my head. That's where Arsenal got to make sure they're presenting themselves right to the player to get him, because that's how you get into Arsenal.
Yeah, so I think they're probably selling Maddison the project by saying that, okay, well, how as in Martin Odegaard played towards the end of the season, that is probably what they see him. But like, I have my question mark still, right? Or probably from Maddison's point of view, the only way I can see this convincing Maddison and obviously Leicester with the money is the fact that, it'll probably get him those appearances. If Odegaard, for instance, doesn't really sign as what reports are, he will probably get around 35 appearances, all competitions put together. And that should probably give him a chance to get to the World Cup. Otherwise, if Leicester is not getting a minimum of, say, 65 million, I don't see this happening, like, technically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. The only thing I probably see it as an Arsenal point of view is, why would you want to come to a club that is at the minute struggling to compete for even European football, when you've got a club like Leicester that, by all intents and purposes, like, could challenge for and can even get top 4 next season. So I don't see why he would want to take that risk with Arsenal when, like, you've got a manager that you don't even know is going to be there by the end of the season. The way it's going, you've got a team that, like, the only people that are succeeding are the youngsters, and there's no style of play. So, and like I said, you're struggling to compete to get into Europe. So, and that's just Europe itself. So, that's, for me, it's gonna have to be a very, very, very convincing, mouth-watering offer that Arsenal are gonna have to make to not just Leicester, but to Maddison on a personal terms. But we'll have to watch this space in a minute. But one thing that definitely they are confirmed with is Ben White. Now, they had a £40 million bid rejected last week. Now discussions are continuing over a deal that could be over £50 million. So now everyone's saying that this is pretty much
How
a
old's
done
Ben
deal.
White? Sorry, how old is he?
I'm not
About
quite sure,
24?
to be honest. I'm not quite sure, actually. I'll have to 23. Yeah, 23. He's 24 in October. And yeah, I'd again, this deal I can see happening, right? He's playing at Brighton. He's had a good season. He's a very good centre back for Brighton, and I think it's someone that could definitely have a place in Arsenal's squad for next season. He's a very good, talented defender. Ray, what's your saying on Ben White? Because I think that would be a good signing for Arsenal as a start point.
It's a lot of money. Are you going to end up paying?
It is a lot of money, though.
I mean, a lot of. I've seen a lot of
point, though, is that we were supposed to make the idea was, apparently we were told, we're only buying what we sell. Now all of a sudden we're getting 50 million for Ben White, 60 million for Maddison. Basically, it's more bullshit. It's more bullshit by the owners yet again.
The thing is, and I never believe anybody who says we have to sell.
I don't believe anything that comes out of the owners.
Finances work, okay. Well, no. It's a lot of fans as well. It's a misconception that you have to sell to buy, or we have to sell 50 million quid's worth of players to get 50 million quid in to spend 50 million quid on new players. That's not how it works. When you buy players, usually you're paying them off on the tab. You might be paying them off over 3 or 4 years, and they don't hit your accounts for financial fair play. All in one season. It's over the length of the contract. So if you spend 50 million on Ben White, if you end up paying for him over, let's say you get a good deal and you end up paying for him over 3 years, so you're paying about 17 million quid a year. That's your cash flow, and you put him on a 5-year contract. Only 10 million of his valuation hits your accounts. So you don't need actually a lot of money to get a new player for accounting purposes and for cash flow. So you can get away with buying a lot. It's like, how can I explain? It's like a bank. If they borrow money from you, they can lend loads more based upon the money. The money that you've got in your account with the bank. So I don't think you need to sell £100 million worth of players to buy £100 million worth of players. I think if you sell Xhaka for whatever you get from Roma,
about 15, 16 million.
I thought you were going to get a bit more than that for Xhaka.
17 million. Sorry, was the price.
Right, it's a bit lower than I thought. But you'll get, without going into too much detail, you'll get a nice profit on him.
It's lucky he's getting 17 million quid.
Yeah, but you'll get a lot of profit there. That'll help sort your FFP out. So I think if you wanted to, it all depends on obviously the money men at Arsenal. You could spend the money. Look, if you're going to buy Ben White for 50 million, if you're trying to get Maddison for 50 to 60 million, I don't think you can stop there because you need more. I think you need more than just those
Well, I
two
think
players.
Anana's also coming as well, but
How much is he?
problem is that he's very cheap. The problem with Anana is he's
Bang.
a very good. He's better than Leno, right? And he's that Champions League quality. But the problem with Anana is that he's on a ban. That's why he's so cheap. But the ban is till February. But if we got Matt Ryan on a permanent, and say to Leno, just stay till January until Anana comes back to February, and then he can go.
Is Leno going to be happy with that? You know,
I don't know, but that's what I would. That if I was a sensible head, as an Arsenal fan, that's what I would do. But if I was a sensible head at Arsenal, that's what I would do. But we haven't got sensible heads at Arsenal. That's the problem.
That's the problem. But Ben White, look, he'll be a decent signing. But I'll throw it back to you, Stephen, because obviously you're an Arsenal fan. Is that position, centre back, the most important position you need to fill this summer?
No.
What do you need to fill the most?
The manager.
No, forget that. Come on, behave. What player? What player do you need? I'm not having that. What player or what positions?
Can.
Okay.
We need a quality can because we've got no creativity.
Houssem-Aouar, 30 million.
Will he come to Arsenal though? You've got to think of players that
he has to believe in you.
Sacrifice European football.
There's two things.
Or haven't got European football.
Oh yeah, look, someone like Houssem-Aouar, it looked like it was either Arsenal, City, or Juventus. Looks like everybody's pulling out except Arsenal. So the price is going down. If he wants that move, Arsenal might pay him an extra 30, 40 grand a week. That will make an impression upon him. And they've got to believe in the manager. I know you don't believe in him, but if the players believe in the manager and say, look, it's just a blip, we're just going through a phase. We are a big club. We will get back there. We want you to help us get back, to help us get back there. And if players like Houssem-Aouar look at it and say, yeah, okay, I believe in you. In a year's time, we'll be back in the top 6 or top 4. Then he might go for it. And to play in London, he's still 23 years old. As I said, he'll get more money. There are things that he'll look at, and it might work for you, because if nobody else is going to bid for him now, I don't think Juventus are. That's gone very quiet. City aren't. And who else is in for him? So you might get him cheaper than I think he's worth. I think he's worth probably in the 45, still in that sort of region. You might get him for 30 million if he thinks it's time for a change, a new challenge. But if you get White, if you get Maddison or Aouar or someone of that capability, a new keeper, maybe one other player, then I say, yeah, Ben White, 50 million, that's fine. If you get Ben White and a couple of cheap players, then I don't think that's a good bit of business. I think, like you say, Stephen, I think there's more important places to get players.
Yeah. Brad, what would you say is the most important for Arsenal?
The whole entire squad, except for maybe...
New fans. That's what they need, Brad. They need fans who are committed to the team. That's what they need more than anything.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Maybe.
Get behind the manager.
That's commitment. Watching that rubbish for last season.
To be fair, that's true. That's very true.
Excuse me. No. I was doing like previews even hospitals to satisfy them lot. What did I get out of it? Nothing.
No, in regards to what Arsenal need, in as much as a serious note as possible, they probably need voices on the pitch, people that command you listening to them more than demanding it, because their name, Maddison is one of them that you hear on the pitch. He's not afraid to criticise himself. And he's not one of them that will get in your face and go, "Oh, you're an effing this. What the effing hell do you do that?" He'll go, "Come on, he'll encourage you, and he'll pick you up if there's a bad mistake in it, and he'll get into you if he knows you're not performing at that level." And Ben White, by all accounts, does that. And you're going on the price, 50 million. Leicester, who keep getting linked with him. I don't know why. It's like a bad rash that won't go away. Keep getting linked with the same price for a guy who's 4 and a bit years older than him in Tarkowski at Burnley. And unfortunately, what we're seeing, as is ever increasing, is the prices of a basic flat price going rate for defenders seems to be 50 million. So unfortunately, Arsenal didn't manage to get him. I remember when Leeds came up last season and they wanted him for 30 million. He's only gone up valuation of 20 million, which, yes, is staggering in difference. But in course of how the market changes, it's not actually that bad. It's still not too bad a player, and you'd get a lot of years out of him to probably recoup that money and make more if you were to sell him on and he performs well there. With Ben White, you've got that young, vibrant player that wants to go about his business, show his value. I think you're better off as a club, instead of going out and going, oh, we'll spend all our wages and our budget on one player that has a big shirt selling name. I think you're actually doing a smart thing, which is smart on Arsenal, doesn't seem to go well at the moment. But if you are with intent going for the players like Maddison, you're looking like getting White and this or however you say his name, and you're spending about 150 million instead of spending 100 million on a Haaland or a Sancho, which I know you couldn't attract anyway, even if you were the only club of the Premiership. But instead of going out and just spending it on one person, you're actually buying 3 or 4. You're probably looking at a long-term goal with a starting plan. You've kind of got the foundations. You can build a squad on foundations on 50 million plus for each player. I actually think Arsenal, if they could actually get these deals over the line, would benefit from having a decent transfer window in hindsight.
And that's the thing as well. It's also like, I think also fans need to, the amount of times I've had to say to fans that, like, we need to focus on, like, we need to focus on buying talent that, like, we know are not going to be Champions League standards. We're not going to get that sort of player, Champions League talented sort of player, right? What we need like, I mean, one example I came up with is one name has popped up all the time has been Ruben Neves, for example, right? That's popped up in the media and on the transfer list of Arsenal. I'll take Ruben Neves. He got Wolves into Europe. He's played in Europe. He's got the semi-final, and I can't see why alongside Partey that would be a decent. That's not the answer to our problems. Don't get me wrong, but we need players.
It's a short-term to the long-term build.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The long-term build is to then move them players on so we can get the top quality players in, right? When we're finally in Europe, right, and we're challenging Europe and in European and maybe even to top 4, right? But at the minute, we just need to get back into Europe, and at the minute, the players we got, everyone keeps saying we're not good enough. So what do we need? We need players that like are not in Europe, but have got the quality to be in Europe. Like your Ben Whites, like your Ruben Neves, right? Basically, they've got the quality, but unfortunately, because they're in the team they're in, they can't get to that level. I mean, Ankit, is that something you agree with?
Yeah, definitely, Stephen. I think your shout for Ruben Neves, for example, like I would go with that because I think with Ben White getting linked, it's clear that it's in Arteta call. Like Arteta, as in he's deluded. Like I have to say it, right? This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He is adamant to basically stick with his plan and go with it. I'm happy.
It's a Man City agent, that is. Right, it's a Man City agent, that is.
Yeah, because
I see behind those glasses, mate. I see that frown. I see that like.
No, like so this guy's played 5 at the back for God knows when. He doesn't play football. Like he's forgotten that crowd is going to be back next season. I'm sure the Arsenal crowd will not let him play the way he's done the last 12 months, right? I'm 100% sure. And Ben White is definitely he's looking at replacing David Luiz.
I ain't buying another ticket.
Good for you, mate. But yeah, as in he's probably looking at him being a replacement for David Luiz at best for a long term, which again like is a long term project like you guys touched upon, which doesn't make sense to me at this point in time. Arteta will not be there; he shouldn't be there come 12 months down the line, and. Also, one might be an option, but Ben White, I did see him play for Brighton in his initial days. I don't know if he recently played as well, but he could play defensive midfield as well, right? So he has played that role. I don't know if Arsenal and Arteta are looking that way, and that's the reason why they're going for him. But like, I would go with you. I'd rather go with something that you know for sure is missing. Like I think one of the comments I did see, and I was going to touch upon that. It's like I think you guys have William Saliba. I know he had some problems last season and he went on loan, but Saliba might be the answer for you if he's coming back. Like I don't know if he's still on Arsenal's books. I probably think Saliba is still with Arsenal, right, Steven?
Yeah, he's still on the books.
Yeah,
so
we still got him to come back. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
another
so
thing as well. People forget about him. And he's supposed to be better than Fofana. He's supposed to be
apparently,
better too. Right?
Yeah, I think he had some problems. I think probably some personal issues, right? And that's the reason why they kind of.
The problem is that he was judged after 2.5 games.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
can
but
you
he's
judge
good.
a player
Like,
after 2.5 games.
yeah, I've seen one of those games, and I really felt that he had it in him. I don't know what the Arsenal management thought he was, because Ben White is good, but he's not like as Ray touched upon. That's a bit too much money for him. Like I know English players are definitely coming on inflated price, but for Ben White at this age, it's a project again. Like again, they're going through the entire cycle. Like I don't see that. Like he's not a leader at all at this point in time, right? So. I'll be very happy if Ben White is basically bought by Arsenal at 45 million. I'm sure like they won't get like a big player after that, right? This window, but for me, it doesn't make sense. Rather focus on maybe a defensive midfielder who could score goals. Next to Partey, as you said, like Ruben Neves is probably perfect for that, right? That's a great shout actually.
Yeah, that's yeah, it is a big. Oh man, there's so many different problems, right? And like you don't know which solutions are the best one with Arsenal in a minute. And I think Arsenal at the minute, the fans do what they need to do, and this is what I'm going to be trying to do next season, is just keep their head down and just play the season as it goes. Right? I'm not expecting anything. I'm not setting up predictions or anything like that. I'm just going to play the season how it goes. Right? If we do well, we do well. If we don't, we don't. By the look of our starting fixtures, like the way the fixtures start, we could end up managerless by the 12th game.
Start off with a 6-point relegation battle.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah. I'm telling you, right? But you never know. We might get our 9-0 with Southampton. You never know.
One of them it's due for a customary, isn't it? Someone's got to put themselves in for it, so you never know.
Yeah. But Arsenal are definitely not doing that. If anything, it'll be a 9-0 against it'll be a 9-0 thrashing at the hands of Man City. Especially if when they get Grealish and
the thing is, it's one thing that's, I mean, it's going to sound arrogant or something, but it's one thing that's frustrated me ever since we've had Pep. Even when we've battered Arsenal, we've never smashed them with goals. We get 3-0 up, and then we say, right, that's enough. That's enough of a beating.
Take pity on us.
Yeah. And I say, look, Arsenal never used to take pity on us.
Did to us last time we were in the Champions League.
They come up to Manchester and they're like 4-0 up at half-time or something once a few years back. So why are we taking pity on them? We've beaten them like 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, 2-0. Why can't we just stuff them 6 or 7 just once?
And you think Arsenal would know about throwing away big leads, for instance, they've done it enough times. What was that one against Newcastle? 4-0 up, weren't you?
Yeah, and was it Spurs as well? You were 4-0 up against Spurs or something?
Wenger settings, that is, isn't it? That is Wenger settings, isn't it?
Well, no, when we beat you down in that cold weather a few years ago, just after the Carabao Cup final, we beat you 3-0 and we let you off there. And we were 3-0 up after 35 minutes, and then in the second half we didn't bother. And we were City fans saying, "Come on, get 2 or 3 more. Let's pump them. Let's get our own back after so many hammerings at your hands."
Because any fan that comes out and says, "Well, it doesn't matter how many goals you score, you're only getting 3 points." Tell me that when you lose out on a position by goal difference. That's what you do it for. That's exactly what you do it for.
Tell that to Liverpool.
Yeah. I know we bottled it against Spurs, but that was one thing that wasn't going to stop us getting top 4 last season. We just did it in spectacular fashion in front of the fans. That's how we like to bottle things, our own way, by losing the game, not relying on goal difference.
Talking about goal difference, I mean, the ultimate was when City beat United 6-1 at theirs. We were 3-1 up, and United were pushing for more goals, and we scored 3 more goals. To get up to 6. All at the end, because United were pushing up or they're demoralised. And we won the league by, was it 6 goals or something?
Something daft like that, yeah.
6 or 8 better. And that was it. And, 6 of those, that goal difference was that last 5 minutes.
I remember that season because it was the only time that the pundits were like, actually, we need to check the rules. And you could see them all like that, like, fucking rules, what are the rules? And it would have been goal difference. And that's the only way you'd have had a playoff if it had been that. So if it weren't for that game, you would have potentially lost the title on.
Do you know what's funny about it? It's just like the thing I remember about that season, Fergie losing it in Fergie time.
The irony. Yeah, the irony.
Beautiful. The expression on that man's face. It was a picture. I think I was in hospital at the time. I was watching Football Focus in my room, in my hospital room, right? Because I was keeping an eye on the Arsenal game. But the dads of all the all the kids' fathers, what they've done is instead of the children's play area had a massive TV. What they did is they've commandeered that, thrown all the kids out of the children's play area and used it to watch the fucking football. So they were watching Man City, Man United, right? And as I'm watching it, right, I wasn't watching it in my room. I was watching in the parents' room. I'm switchly going out of the parents' room, running into the children's play area to find out what's going on. While I was trying to keep an eye on what Arsenal were doing at the same time, because we had to finish 3rd. Because this lot ended up winning the Champions League, which knocked Tottenham out of 4th.
Oh, mate, sorry. I've just had this image now of just like, right, little Jimmy's in here. He's got a very severe heart condition. Well, he can piss off because there's a game on. Kick him out. Some kid might never play with toys again, but he can't sit in here today because there's a match going on.
Yeah, I can imagine it. And after it, like I said, Mum, said what? I don't care if you want to go to bed at 10:30. I'm watching Match of the Day. I want to see Ferguson's face. So I got my camera really close and took a picture. Like, beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, Ray, surely you've got a picture of that somewhere framed, just there.
No.
His face. You're not on that about it. Just his face on that day.
Every single City fan, it's imprinted in our minds. We don't need a picture of it. It's in there. It's in there. I tell you, when I die, and they slice my head open to use what's left of my brain for research purposes, what's left of it, they'll see Fergie's face imprinted and Aguero swinging his shirt. It'll be there imprinted on my brain.
Oh no, my one is when we won the my one, I got a better one of him. Right, when we won the title at Old Trafford in 2002. Oh shit. Oh, that was even better. To lose it on your own patch. Ooh, against Wenger.
Nothing worse.
No.
No, I think nothing can beat the slide, right? That Jose Mourinho had after he beat him in the Champions League and shocked the world. Like, that was like something. Like, the man has arrived and Fergie was like, okay, this guy's something. That was like I'm with you guys. Like, definitely seeing for Ferguson, seeing those expressions on Ferguson's face was like, something really there.
Has anyone seen the new Ferguson film that's come out on Prime? I honestly suggest you watch it. It's actually quality watch. I've watched it. It's really good. Really, really good.
Okay. I just see a comment quickly. I'll just address this. So I see a comment. City is the only team yet to put 6 past Arsenal. Really? Like probably means in the last couple of seasons. But yeah, because for sure, like obviously Man
United put 7, didn't they? United put 8. Was it 8?
Yeah, 8-2.
Manchester.
And we did 6-0 2014.
I don't remember.
Chelsea spanked him as well.
Yeah, Salah spanked.
Yeah, do you know what was worse about that 8-2 as well? I was in hospital and playing enough. I've been in hospital for about 5-6 months, right? And they had to go and stab me in the back even more, right?
Consistent Arsenal, then.
Oh no, I know, just consistently shit. But anyway, back to Kane to Man City. What's going on here with Kane to Man City?
Kane's purposely not performing at Euros just to make sure that valuation goes down, so they have to let it go.
Apparently, Man City make a £100 million transfer bid for the Tottenham striker.
But there's talk of us offering players as well on top of that 100 million quid, and it's just rubbish. The players that have been mentioned, Laporte. Well, I mean, first of all, you got Laporte, Mahrez, Jesus, Sterling. They've been mentioned.
You never know. I mean,
seriously,
no.
Hey, Tottenham can't even get. Oh, don't forget, Tottenham can't even get a fucking managers. You never know.
Yeah.
They might take it.
No. There's no way City are going to sell.
Tottenham would take it if they're getting offered the likes of Mahrez and Laporte with 100 million. That's ridiculous.
City aren't going to do that. City
not one of their coaches as a manager, and they might take it.
Look, Laporte's valuation even now is at least 60, 70 million. Why would he take why would he take a down? Why would he downsize to Spurs? He's only 26, 27 years old. Why, from playing in the Champions League and having a chance to win it to playing at Spurs in the Europa League at best? So I can't see him doing that, and I can't see him going for less than 60. Same with Mahrez, even though he's 29 or 30 years old, he wants to go to someone like either PSG or Madrid or something like that. He don't want to go to Spurs. Sterling, no chance.
I think Mahrez would rather come back to Leicester knowing he get booed every week than go to
But Sterling's doing a new contract with City. He's negotiating over that. So I don't know why people have mentioned him. And once again, why at 26 is he going to take a big backward step from a Champions League final to a team that's struggling to get in? And Jesus is the nearest, but I think he thinks if he's going to go, he could go to Italy or something, playing one of the teams in the Champions League there. I don't see any of those players, honestly. I mean, the only player that I think City would be happy to give to Spurs is Mendy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's crap. So that's the only one that I
heard Zinchenko was in line for that deal as well. Actually, I know that's very rare, but what do you rate Zinchenko? Because I actually think he's quite good for you guys when he's playing.
The thing with Zinchenko is his valuation isn't. I don't think it's going to be that high. When he was looking to leave, not him looking to leave, City were looking to offload him 2 or 3 years ago. To Wolves were interested. They'd agreed 15 or 16 million quid. Real Betis were interested. They'd agreed something around that level, and Zinchenko said no. Now, I don't think Zinchenko's going to go. He's always first or second choice left back. So, and he's happy. And even when he was third choice left back, he can't even get into midfield. When Mendy was fit, when Delph was there, they were ahead of him in the pecking order. When Angelino came back, he was kind of ahead of him as well. So, but Zinchenko sticks there because City saved him from nothing. Basically, he was hardly doing anything, and they've propelled him from a kid couldn't even train properly in Russia to a superstar. He was always going to be that in his homeland, but he's a superstar in his homeland, and he's probably earning good wage, and he's so grateful to what City have done for him. So I don't think he'd want to leave. The valuation might be right, but I don't think he'd work for Spurs because City have got such quality that he can work for City at left back because he's protected by the possession we have. And if you've got 60, 70% possession, the opposition are going to really struggle to get at people like Zinchenko. That's why, we had that season where we got 100 points and the season afterwards when we won all the domestic trophies. We have people like Delph and Zinchenko playing left back. How can you get away with that? You get away with that because in that Centurion season, I think we averaged over 70% possession. In some games, we're up nearly 80%. Teams don't get much of an opportunity to expose your defenders. And that's why you see people having to go to Ruben Dias because Portugal allow him to be exposed more than Man City do. And he's exposed. We've seen a couple of mistakes from him in this tournament. So it's the same with Zinchenko. He's protected by having City's quality players around him. And if you look at Delph, I use Delph as an example. City sold him for about 8 or 10 million to Everton. And Everton fans complain that when he's not injured, he's not very good. He's not good enough for the side. But at City, he was at one point first choice left back. So he can do it at City because of all the quality around him, but he can't do it somewhere else. And I think that you'll find the same with someone like Zinchenko and even Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, that's interesting with Jesus because I wouldn't say no to him at Leicester. I just instantly ruled him out because I think he's worth a lot of money and he wouldn't come to Leicester for the same reasons you just said, because he's at an established club with a lot of players around him to make him maybe look better than he is. It's interesting that you include.
Well, I think also when if he's got say 3 years left on his contract, for argument's sake, he'll say, "Well, I'll stick it out and fight for my place rather than take a step down to Spurs or Leicester." With all due respect, I'll win a couple of trophies next year, and I will wait for a Italian or a Spanish club to come in for me, who are in the Champions League, who are consistently there. No, let's say Juventus come in for me, or Inter Milan, or Atletico Madrid, or something like that. And I think he's more likely to make those moves than he is to move to someone like Spurs or Leicester, unless he doesn't play much this season and no one comes in for him. Then next season, maybe he'll look at that as an option.
And when you get into it, it does help. It does keep the mindset, doesn't it? Like you said there, it keeps a mindset. Sorry, Stephen, to cut you up for you back to move on. I'm just saying that Gabriel Jesus and players like that, you can get it into a mindset that you're used to playing in a team that's winning all the time, and you've got like you said, like a 5-6 year contract, and you've still got 2 to 3 years left. You're more thinking, well, take the trophies and less game time, and then hopefully I can do enough when I'm on the pitch and I still get a move to a club that's similar. Then it does make sense why you probably don't see these players linked with moves away as you would think, because they have got that quality. It's just more maybe clubs already know that he's not going to look for a move away because he's comfortable doing what he's doing and earning what he's earning.
So I'll just come in there, Steven. So basically, I don't get the fact of Zinchenko being the topic of maybe going. I agree. He'll probably be kept because of the fact that one, he's protected at City. Second, City have let go Angelino. Angelino was, kind of, wrapping up the trees in Champions League last season, right? As in, if they let him go, that's for a reason for me. And Spurs, on the other hand, for me, I don't think they'll go for Laporte either. They'll probably not accept. I know that's not going to happen from City's side because he's great. But Spurs, I don't know if you guys watched Wales closely this season, this Euros. For me, Joe Rodon is probably, really come up leaps and bounces. He's probably the next big thing, I think, in centre-back position. And I think they're probably sorted there. Spurs will need an attacker, if at all they agree for, a cash plus player deal. And the closest I can see is probably Sterling going there, as much as I think Ray said that Sterling's not going to go. I can probably see him go because he really did not have a great end to the season. And, he'll probably get all the games at Spurs, right? And he plays false nine as well. Something that Kane probably, resorted to towards the latter part of his Spurs career. So I don't know. That's the only thing if I see. Otherwise, I'm looking at pure cash. If they're able to pay the cash of, I think, probably north of 120 million, that's when they get Kane. And knowing Daniel Levy and how he's at least, treated Chelsea in the past, I don't see him, playing easy ball with the Man City. I know that Spurs probably don't have a manager, will not have a manager if not for Ryan Mason and Scott Parker, the likes coming back. But at the end of the day, Harry Kane is an asset. He is the best striker in England, and there's no reason why Daniel Levy should, play easy ball as much as Kane would have loved Spurs.
I think City can afford 120 million. I think City can afford it. I don't think that's an issue. They've got.
Of course, he can.
Yeah, come on, let's not go down that route again. But it's simply because City's.
Oh no, it's just like the man. Of course, obviously with the owners you got,
but then they're not putting their own dosh in. They're not putting their own dosh in.
Yeah, but what they're doing is what I'm saying is what I'm saying is, right? It's in the way because the owners you've got and the way they care, it means you do have the money available in the club.
Because obviously it's different to what what Arsenal and other clubs do, where they're not looking for a financial return in terms of big profits. They're happy to reinvest. So whatever comes in, they spend. They're happy to spend it on players. They don't need the profit and loss account to look really good because they make their money on the club when they sell the shares. They've made so much of their investment back when they sold a big chunk of it, about 13% to China Media Capital. They got a few £100 million there. They sold 10% to Silver Lake. They got, I think, $500 million for that. So, they've got a lot of money back already. Some probably in the region of, probably 600-700 million quid they've got back from their investment, and they still own around 75% of the club. So they're happy with what they're doing, and it's fortunate for City because I think if they were like some other clubs where they were like Arsenal, they have to take a certain amount, or United have to send a certain amount back to America, then we wouldn't be splashing the cash the way we are. And I think obviously other fan bases get a little bit irked by that. By City spending so much money, but it's just because of the owners they have that they're willing not to look for the profits in the accounts and just looking to reinvest to be the best, because they're not worried about the City money. Obviously, they're so filthy rich, they don't have to worry about making a profit.
Yeah, 500 million is like 10 quid to them.
I think you guys spent around 200 million on fullbacks alone, right? If I'm not wrong, in about 3 windows. It's nothing to them because it's within the budgets. It's other fans who complain, but it's like it's like saying, well, United have got a centre back and a central midfielder who cost them £200 million together because they did. Pogba cost them about 115 if you had the agent's fee in, and Harry Maguire cost probably about 90 million if you had the agent's fee. That's 200 million quid. So you could argue City spent 200 million quid on full back, but now they spent. People bought a goalkeeper for about 65 million and a centre back for 75. Well, there's 140 million. It just depends where you choose to spend your money. City probably haven't had to spend a lot up front for a while because we've had Aguero for 10 years. Jesus has been there for about 5 years now. Sterling's been there for, I think, 5 years. Mahrez has been there for, 3 years now? So all we've done in the last couple of seasons is bought Ferran Torres for 20 million. That's it. So we're not spending there. We're spending somewhere else. I think, which is fair. Liverpool are spending somewhere else.
Plus, it's also not Man City's problem. They've only got a couple of areas to strengthen, whereas other clubs have got 4 or 5. Man City only need to go out and buy 1 or 2 because that's the only areas they need to strengthen.
Just going to run into some comments. Sterling and Laporte plus 50 mil Kane.
Who said that?
UEFA is a joke for suspending FFP. Him and City are forking 100 million for Kane, and what more for Grealish? Another slap for us Liverpool fans in Leicester City who eat what they kill. Spurs won't be able to afford Sterling's wages because it will destroy their wage structure. Ryan Mason will play Ollie Ball and burn out Sterling as we get to rotate. To join the membership scheme and support CLDFs fight against childhood liver disease, hit the join button below. let Nathan Ake go. Pep needs to realise he was an expensive mistake. Going to Spurs is ideal for a former Championship player like him.
Hang on.
Choose.
I take it Weir is a Spurs fan. Nathan Ake played for Bournemouth in the Premier League, and before that, he played for Chelsea in the Premier League.
He's a Chelsea fan.
Okay, all right, Chelsea fan. So, well, there's no difference between Chelsea and Spurs fans, is there really? You know, it's just.
No, come on, don't insult
Why slag off Nathan Ake calling him a Championship player and an expensive mistake? I think most City fans were happy. He's not played a lot this season. He had an injury. I think he had COVID. You know, he missed a big chunk of the season, and he was always going to be fourth choice centre back. You know, it's always going to be that. But he's had a couple of good games when we played three at the back. He's done all right as a left-sided player of the back three.
Didn't do that well against us though, did he?
Yeah,
But wasn't that when he got injured as well? To be fair, didn't he get injured and wasn't?
Well, he struggled this season with injury. But when we played you twice, I'll maintain when you change 9 players in one game and 8 players in another.
Mourinho ruined Kane by asking him to drop deep.
Or behave
with the midfielder, hence the shitty performance.
No, I don't go with that.
He's got 23 goals and 14 assists. Then
exactly,
he's won the Golden Boot. That comment doesn't make sense.
He's got the most goals
and
the most assists.
So what do you want?
And to be fair, saying they paid 50 million for a relegated player, we brought Harry Maguire from Hull, who was struggling in the Championship, who got him from Sheffield United when they were in League One or possibly the Championship.
And Andy Robertson, where did he come from?
Yeah, he came from Hull. So don't disrespect relegated players just because they're in a bad side. Doesn't mean they're not good players.
That's what I'm saying. I've said that about
Ake's not a bad defender. He would get a first team place in predominantly most of the Premiership side.
Move on to quickly Chelsea, and big news is that Hakimi has sort of snubbed Chelsea in the sense that PSG are closing in on signing Achraf Hakimi from Inter Milan for around, but just under £60 million. And that's a huge blow for Chelsea and what they want for next season. Obviously, they're still looking for. I think it's another. Was it a right back? Is that what they're looking for?
Right. I think it's probably Adama Traore, right? They're looking for. I think they're probably going back to Adama Traore. If I'm not wrong.
But hang on. Is it really a priority? I don't think it is a priority. I think the main priority is a striker,
a shooting coach,
and a holding midfield player.
Yeah, I agree there totally. The fact being, I think probably towards the end of the season, Havertz has probably started getting his touch. So one school of thought is maybe Tuchel is okay with Havertz playing that number 9 with Werner kind of coming off for half an hour every game. That's maybe one strategy, and that is why he wants more dynamism on the wings. And he wants to stick with the formation of defense that has done well in Champions League and, of course, towards the end of the league. So I think that is why he sees Reece James as more like a strength person. So he probably uses his strength more in games and sees Reece James as a right centre-back or a better defensive mid even. I think it was probably, I know it was just Fulham, if I'm not wrong, one of the games, or City. I think one of the games he took off Jorginho and Kovacic and left Reece James alone in midfield, and he dominated the midfield. So that's one possible option. That is why he doesn't see Reece James as a right wing back, because he did so well in right centre back and defensive mid in those 2-3 games towards the end, right? And Hakimi was absolutely fantastic. Maybe one reason is that because he was available and Tuchel had targeted him while he was at PSG previously, he thought, okay, let's actually build around him on the wings, and we'll use Azpilicueta's the experience at right centre back, and Reece James maybe to cover him up and vice versa. So that was a strategy, but I agree with you there. Definitely striker is the main priority. Haaland is again kind of, I think we'll probably touch upon that, but he's probably going to Real Madrid is the real the latest rumor. So that's surprising as well. So if that happens, yeah, it'll be like shocking window. But having said that, like I don't know why Chelsea always just go so big names. Like Drogba wasn't like a huge name. He was a big name when we bought him. But there are loads of players out there. I'm sure like we would be able to scout and get. There's still like a month and a half left for the season to begin. So hoping that, yeah, as in Hakimi paying 65 million pounds for him wasn't making sense and it wasn't priority. So maybe it's blessing in disguise. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that is the main problem for Chelsea, and Timo Werner, I'm sorry, there's as much as he might have been good before, and he's not going to win you a league. And so that quest for a striker and like
this might sound ridiculous.
Got quiet, but go on, Brad.
Sorry, this might sound ridiculous, but I've noticed with Inter Milan, I'm quite shocked because considering they've just won Serie A for the first time in a long time. They seem to be trying to ship out some of the players and get money in. I don't know what their financial situation, if there's a reason behind it. So we're talking about players that have played for Chelsea before and gone on elsewhere, and we know there's quite historic with certain clubs bringing players back. Pogba to United being
Lukaku.
An example. Yeah, exactly. Would you be willing to push the boat, even if it meant kind of knee-jerk reaction and offering Timo Werner as a one-season non-success, right? We don't want to recoup. We'd rather trade. Would you take Lukaku? Because that's a winner. I think Manchester United treated him harshly. I think he was a very good move at the time. I'm surprised he's not got the link.
He's matured as well, right? He's not. He was good at United. I agree with you there, Brad. But he's become even better under Conte. Like Conte is one of those managers who actually gets the most out of players, right? And he's actually got that to that level this season, and hopefully he'll kind of go only better next season, right? And then Lukaku has gone on record saying that he probably would want to come back to Chelsea, and Drogba has kind of shared his tweets, etc. a lot of times. But again, it comes down to Inter Milan. Like I think probably they look at maybe like Dortmund have two sellable assets this season. Like the Inter Milan have two for sure. Like I know Lukaku is the main guy, but at the end of the day, if Inter Milan are falling short on cash, he's probably the most sellable asset for them, along with Hakimi, because of the fact that very few people in Europe kind of bring what Hakimi brings in the wings, especially from a wing back position. So if they get say 70 million for Hakimi, they'll probably take that and keep Lukaku, because Lukaku at the end of the day scores you more goals than Hakimi for sure, right? Although both are important, but so that's probably in Inter Milan scored. Like I think that's the reason why Lukaku is going to stay at Inter. But like you're saying, right? I would take him in a heartbeat. Lukaku is matured big time. He was even good earlier, and for sure much better than Werner. And Werner, like I know it's a second season, and even Drogba, like again, I'm going back to him. You cannot just compare like that. But second season, people do better, especially like it's a pandemic struck season that Werner has been through. Maybe he was not in the right frame of mind. Who knows, right? But given a choice, if Chelsea has that option, I would trade him directly. And then Lukaku is far better, and I think we have Pulisic on the wings who has great pace even, right? And we can probably go for a cheaper option on right wing back with an Adama Traore. I think that will probably work in my favor.
Yeah, I see why not. Do you see any alternatives that Chelsea could get as a striker?
Yeah, for me, sorry, I'm kind of going again, but I've been kind of, definitely behind this. Obviously, I'm a Dutch fan as well, but I think this guy, Marlon. I don't know if you guys have kind of followed the Dutch league, but he scores goals for fun. I know it's a Dutch league, and you cannot like compare just like that, but I think his technique is what really takes for in the English league. Yeah, if you're not going for like say a Haaland or maybe a Kane, I would rather go with someone who we can nurture and play Havertz up front. Like, to be honest, I'm not seeing anyone else who kind of directly replaces Havertz, because Havertz has really improved. I know that he's not going to score you maybe 25 goals a season, but he's really improved in that false nine position. And if we are able to have people good on the side, which we have, we should be able to do the job as a team, right? As in, I think towards the end of the season we were really starting to click, and that's what I see. But yeah, as in, I'd rather go for a young striker, and I don't want to kind of have that again, Morata, Torres of the years where we shed in those loads of money and they are big flops and all the pressure comes to them. Doesn't make sense to me. Haaland has that mentality for him to get through that. That's what definitely seems from the outside. So he's the number one choice. And of course, Kane, who's not going to come to Chelsea, but yeah, that's the two that I see in big names.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. I mean,
what's with the deal? Not just with Chelsea, but their fans as well seem to have a hatred, or not well, I wouldn't say hatred, but maybe a lack of faith in Tammy Abraham. I thought he was one of the players that was supposed to shine and come through at Chelsea. He had a very promising time at Swansea on loan. Stephen and Ray would even know from shows that have been on me. I'm a great admirer of Tammy Abraham. I would be happy. Obviously, I'm very happy, hopefully in the next couple of days, to announce Patson Daka. From what I've Wikipedia'd about him, I'm going to be honest, I had to Wikipedia about him. But from what he makes great reading for a 22-year-old for what he's done. But I was very interested in us maybe going for trying to get 35 million for him. Is there a reason, do you think, that he's just straight up not in Tuchel's plans, and why he's not held in a higher esteem amongst Chelsea fans?
Yeah, it's more to do with football. It's not just football. Like, I agree with you there. Tammy Abraham, for the time that he's had on the pitch, he's been our best striker in the last 24 months. Like, hands down. Like, there's no two ways. Like, a classical example can be the FA Cup, which Brad, you guys took away from us. He got us to the final. Like, he was not in the squad in the FA Cup final. Like, that was unbelievable. Like, that was telling for me. So it's clear that it's more to do with just football. And like, the reports have it that it's because of the fact that he did not agree to signing that extension that Chelsea offered him. He wanted obviously higher wages, a longer contract, and things like that. Obviously, Hudson-Odoi was one of the reasons for these contract extensions not happening so smoothly at Chelsea, because of the fact that they were, Bayern Munich were behind him. So all these young players are going for that, and then he did not agree. And then just time went on, and by the time the FA Cup final came, he had not sorted out his contract, right? And that's when Tuchel thought, okay, fine. He's not even like the ideal fit for the way that he plays. Yes, he's capable and is great, but I'm sure Tuchel would have molded him very well. But the fact that he did not sort, off football problems, made all the reason for Tuchel to kind of just exclude him totally and maybe look beyond, right? And that's the next step, because Tuchel, the way he is, like, for him, winning is what matters, like what Chelsea has told him, right? So I believe that he'll probably go for Tammy Abraham only if Tammy Abraham, like in the next week or so, for instance, signs an extension. I'm sure that he can, mold him very well and probably play Havertz as a striker. But again, is Tammy Abraham ready to, not start maybe 20 games a season? That's another question that Abraham needs to tell. Like, that is another question I think probably is the reason why he's not signing the contract. I don't know what you guys think.
I think Abrams is finished at Chelsea, really. You got who've you got ahead of him now? If you're honest, I think Werner. I'm not saying he'll come good, but I think he'll do better next season. Werner, Havertz, I think they'll do all right. Is Giroud still there? Has he left yet? Who knows?
He's still there. Technically, yes. He extended for a year.
Contract extension. Then he signed
I think they're doing it so they can get some money if they sell him. So it's. But I just don't think Tammy's high enough in the pecking order. I don't think he's trusted enough. I don't think they feel he's got the same potential as Havertz and Werner. I think they're the preferred two. And I think Chelsea, I don't see why Chelsea might not even look for somebody else. They're not scared of getting the big name, big money signing in. And if they think they can get Haaland, they'll be going for him. So I think Tammy Abraham can see the writings on the wall. If Chelsea are interested in Haaland or whoever, and Tammy's got to see that he's got no future. He's probably at best now third or fourth in the pecking order. And if you're looking for a new striker, then he's going to be even further down. I think he'll be sold off 15, 20 million quid. Get some money in, move. He'll be happy to move on. You know, I don't know where he'll go now. That's a problem, because once you're playing for someone like City or Chelsea or Liverpool or United, you leave. Generally, you're going to go you're going to go south. You're going to go down. You're not going to go to anyone that's challenging. So the question is, where could Tammy go? That would want.
I tell you what. If Chelsea want to keep him on their bench for a year and give him cup games, and then Vardy retires next season, and we've only got Daka and Sancho, I'll take him at Leicester for 15, 20 million. I would take him there as a rotation striker, because I think he'd get more games.
For 15, 20 million, I think you could take him now. Honestly. Vardy's 34. He scored, was it 3 goals in the last 6 months or something? So he's not done he's still playing.
Although I will argue with Vardy was only beaten to the club. You know, this was the first season that Vardy was beaten to the club's top goal scorer, and it was by 1 goal. Yeah. And if you look back over Vardy's record, he actually goes missing for 2 or 3 months around the Christmas period. He actually always struggles around them times, and I do get it. He's older now, and Ryan, yourself, Steve, I've mentioned it several times when we've done either 11s or whatever. I've always preferred someone to Tammy Abraham to Vardy, thinking a year or two in the future. And I honestly think, like you said, Ray, if we could get him now, I don't understand why we wouldn't get Daka and Abraham in.
Because Daka's going to cost you what, 25 million?
Something cheap like that. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And apparently we've also beaten, the likes of clubs that we've beaten them to as well.
Yeah. I've been shouting for Patson Daka for well over a year. Now, I watched him a few times last season. I always look at his stats to see how he's doing. Even try and talk to him. He was actually good enough to say something on my Twitter feed. Because I think I did a video on him, and that on my old account took me over. Either on Twitter or on YouTube, it took me over the threshold, and so I said thank you so much to him for doing this, and he said keep going, and all that. So it was really nice for a professional footballer of his stature to give you some, to big you up and give you a bit of confidence for what you're doing. So I've always bigged him up. I think you're going to get a cracking player. I really wanted him at City. I think he reminds me of Sadio Mane, the way he plays. I think he can play anywhere up front, anywhere. And he's got such confidence and belief in himself. I think he's going to work like a dog, tirelessly. And I just thought, at City, he could fit anywhere at City. I really, really wanted him as a backup, just in case we didn't. I thought if we go out for Haaland and don't get him and end up with nobody, I would look for 20, 25 million. Patson Daka's is a steal. So if you can get Daka and Tammy Abrahams, I think you're set up. Because what you don't want is, for argument's sake, Tammy Abrahams to go to Spurs. For argument's sake, if Kane comes to City, Abrahams goes to Spurs, and he's number 1, and he flourishes. He's not a bad player. He's not a bad player at all. So if he flourishes at Spurs, you'll kick yourself for not spending that 15 or 20 million.
Yeah. You miss the chance to basically get the free bus home, don't you? If you don't get him now, when he goes to someone like Spurs, you're going to end up going, oh, well, we did get him, but we could have got him for 30 million or 20 million.
People used to say you don't know if Daka's going to do it. When I was, for the last year, I've been saying I want him at City. People say you don't know he's coming from the Austrian league. But yeah, Haaland came from the Austrian league, and everybody wants Haaland. They were playing together, and Haaland's number were slightly better than a goal a game, and Patson Daka's were slightly below a goal a game. And the only big difference between the two, Haaland scored a lot of goals in Europe and Patson Daka didn't. And that's the only, I think, difference. And I say, if you buy someone like Daka or Abrahams for 20 million quid, if they don't work out in a season or two, you'll sell them for that much money. You're not going to be giving them away.
Ahmed Musa, mate, exactly. We did that with Ahmed Musa. We paid 16 million for him and sold him for that. It wasn't a loss to Leicester.
You get your money back. You get your money back. And if people look at Islam Slimani, people don't look at his record. Was he at Monaco? His record at Monaco or wherever he went was really good. The number of goals he scored for the minutes he played, it was phenomenal. But people thought of him as this lumbering forward that played for you guys. He scored a decent number of goals for the minutes he got. But yeah, you can buy these players, and I don't think they're a big risk. As you say, you sell them on for what you paid. If they work out, if Patson Daka comes to you and he does well, he's a £60 million striker straight away.
Yeah. And like you said, because he's so versatile, people forget we've also got Harvey Barnes. So if we bring in Daka and Abraham and Iniacho, you say Vardy's going to be that impact sub more likely than not over the season. You've got Daka, Abraham, and that quality there. You've got to remember, because obviously Leicester have changed their shape. We haven't been able to fix that Mahrez spot since he left.
Yeah.
And that's honest truth. Hands up, we've not been able to fix it. So, and as we've seen with Barnes getting into this season, Leicester had to adapt to a formation that, even though you look at the end of the season and say, "Oh, well, Leicester bottled it," we kept some momentum going. We dropped a few points, granted, but we were still doing no worse than what we was doing playing Harvey Barnes as a left wing and having him in the team. So to have someone versatile, you could find someone to find a way, to fit these all in a match day squad instead of going. Instead of them moving to a club and thinking, well, will he play only 10, 15 games? You might find a way to get Daka, Abraham.
How do you get Daka, Abraham, Harvey Barnes, Iheanacho?
Exactly.
Not Vardy, but
what
I'm saying is, if you've got like Daka as a right forward, you've got Iheanacho as that, you've then got Vardy as a bench player, who's your inevitable bench player. I'm sorry to say it, as much as I love Vardy, and I think he's going to have a statue and definitely a legendary status at Leicester. I think even Vardy knows he's going to be that one you whack on at the 65th minute mark, and defenders go,
big up,
we've had 2 20-odd-year-olds running as ragged, and now we've got this guy who's 35 and still runs ragged. They don't want that coming at them, and that's exactly where you're going to get 3 of the 4 of them in that squad, aren't you? And that's what you're looking for if you're Leicester.
The thing is, all of them work hard. All of them will work really hard. They've got some skill. Iheanacho was awesome when he was playing at City as a kid. We watched him coming through. We were salivating over him. And he when he first came through at City with Pep, he was scoring goals because he always managed to be in the right place at the right time. But he's
no different with us. He's no different with us.
He's a confidence player. He really is a confidence player.
I just need to get to.
Reminds me of Sturridge very much.
During the transfer ban, the moment he identified his place in the team, struggle, can't handle competition, mentality. Giroud is ahead of Tammy in the pecking order because the Frenchman is willing to fight for his place. Leicester still have that Newcastle reject Perez.
Do you want him? Do you want him, by the way? I'm doing a raffle. Do you want Perez?
Still has something to offer off the ball, even in the midst of a goal drought. Ivan Toney has a higher potential ceiling than Tammy. Chelsea's scouts need to cast the net wider, and Jonathan David is an option if Haaland fails.
That's a good shout.
But yeah, I mean, it's all speculation, and it probably all develop until after the Euros, and that's the thing. That's the thing with all transfers. They won't develop until the Euros are finished, and then we'll
we're
really
hoping that Daka deal
what's true, what's not.
Next couple of days, because he's Zimbabwean, so he's not even at the Euros. That's why we've been able to get this deal.
That's the thing. Unless you're getting a player that's outside the Euros, then then obviously not. But by the way, guys, I'm gonna let you. Just going to ask you quickly, right now we know the path to the final. Who's winning it, Ray?
You put me on the spot first. I never get a chance to think. I can't see England winning it under Southgate.
It's because your age of wisdom.
Nah, age, yeah. Age before beauty, isn't it? If England win it, it's going to be like Greece when they won it. It's going to be the most boring tournament to win, and I don't want that. So, who looks good? Belgium look good. France have got it in them. For me, they're probably two of the favourites along with Italy. I think those three are the standout teams. Italy, okay, they haven't been up against much, but they haven't let a goal in for about 11 games. So, I can't see many teams scoring 2 goals against them, and Italy have a knack of scoring a goal. So, it's the way Mancini wants to do it. Keep it tight, score the goal, Italian style, win the game. So, I think out of those three, I can't think of anybody who's good enough apart from those three.
Okay, Ankit.
Yeah, for me, as in like Belgium, if I'm not wrong, Belgium will play Italy in the quarterfinals. That's how I see it. So I see Belgium actually winning that. Like definitely Lukaku and De Bruyne probably look more determined. I know Italy has been undefeated, but probably that will be too good for them. So I see a Belgium, and on the other side, I see Netherlands. I know I'm a Dutch fan, and maybe people think I'm biased, but I think Netherlands have an easier draw. The bottom half of the draws are probably they're going to play Czech Republic, and then next I think one of Wales or Denmark. So I think they probably have an easier draw as well. So it'll probably be Netherlands and Belgium to win it for me.
Bob?
I mean, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I think you kind of just forget England because they're like a Liverpool version of this. It's always our year, and football's always coming home. That's the only thing they've got in common with football. To get a bit of banter. But I looked at this a bit more statistically. Now, I could be wrong on this, but I believe England and I think I could be wrong, but I think it's only England and Italy that have come out of this Euros without conceding a goal so far in the tournament.
Yep.
Now, previous winners of this tournament, whether it was boring, whether you enjoyed the final or not, did it nitty gritty. So, whilst my nationality is and always will be England, and I'm always going to want them to win a World Cup, I think England might fare better than a lot of people feel they will. And we've seen it in the displays. As boring and as frustrating it's been at times, I've seen it from club level playing this sort of football that sometimes we've seen football that's been boring and frustrating, but it got the result. And at the end of the day, that's what matters in this tournament. I think the harder the team is to break down, it might sound stupid and obvious, but the harder a team looks to break down, the harder you look to try and pick someone else to win it. And for me, if it's not going to be England, I think you're going to struggle to break down the Italians. I think Mancini has them working brilliantly, and I think Italy will genuinely win this tournament because of that, because of how strongly they've performed in the Euros. And you can argue group, you had this one. There was only one bad group, in my opinion. There was only one tough group, and in a sense, it was only tough on Hungary. It wasn't tough on the other three because they were expecting to get through in any sense of order. But the Italians have shown, as well as England, a strong resolution. But the difference is obviously the Italians have turned on the flare when necessary. So for me, it's Italy to win it.
Yeah, that's why I was going to go with Italy. They've really impressed me. They've been flawless so far. What they'll be like if they went up through tough opposition, we still probably have to wait to be seen. Still needs to be waiting.
Breaking it down, isn't it, mate? At the end of the day, yeah.
But in the end, right, you beat what's in front of you, and that's what they've done so far. I will say with England, and we were predicting this earlier, I can't go against. I can't. I know my head's saying Germany are going to win, but I can't go against. I can't go against England. Like when it comes to England, Germany, I've got to back England. So,
do you know what the saddest thing is about England?
If we do beat them, though, there is no excuse to get to the final.
Yeah.
There is no excuse to get to the final. Right?
Do you know what the saddest thing is about England, Germany? Right, and I can't believe I'm seeing it. I know the Scots haters, and we hate the Scots, right? But what is so sad to see is I'm seeing people I know, right, who are Scottish, that are coming out and saying, "Oh, we're supporting Germany." Are you for real? Are you for real? I'm sorry. I said this on my channel that I work with Chris, and I said I would rather, if someone said to me, "Oh, who are you supporting, Scotland versus Germany?" If the roles were reversed, I don't give a toss, mate. I hate them both. I don't give a toss who wins. I'd rather them both lose and go out if it was possible. How sad have you got to be as a nation that you went out on the biggest hype was you drew 0-0 with England, and now you're sitting there desperately cheering Germany on, hoping they knock us out? You've got to have some low standards. You're Scottish international side, so you do have low standards, but you've got to have even lower standards to willingly come out and say you'd rather support Germany. It baffles me. I'd rather them come out and say we're not bothered anymore.
Really, if England got to the quarterfinals, we play Ukraine or Sweden, you honestly see us getting beaten by them?
Well, we did nearly lose to Colombia on penalties, mate. So he's not within his reasons to think we could lose to a team like that.
Yeah,
we all remember as well.
Come on, if we could beat Germany, surely we could beat Sweden or Ukraine.
England are the banter of the national side.
Oh,
no. 3-0. We'll think football's coming home, then Ukraine will do us 2.
No. Hang on, that's Holland. Surely. Look at the squads they've had. They won nothing.
Yeah, to be fair, I did a little predictions tree following on from who they got, and I've actually got the Czech Republic to beat Netherlands because Netherlands always find a way to cock it up just when they're looking good. They really do.
You know what? Obviously you guys are talking about the Italians very well. Italians have been great. Italy side have been superb, right? But if you saw the third game the Netherlands played, right? They played literally with the second team, and the way they dominated, and for all the praise that North Macedonia got, Holland literally dominated them. And they were playing with 19-year-olds on the pitch. They definitely have that, and they're a surprise team. That's what I would say. Let's see. As in, it'll be an interesting watch for sure.
Either way, we're going to be watching it.
Don't talk to me about North Macedonia. They broke my heart. I made a big up prediction that they were
I know that.
Anyway, we're gonna have to end it there. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, hit that share button as well. Ray, where can I find you, mate?
CityFan TV on YouTube. I'm having a little bit of a rest over the summer because I'm not covering the Euros. Especially the group stages, because I find generally they're quite boring. If you've gone down from 24 teams to 16, there's not really much going on. You got rid of the dross like Scotland and whatever, and Hungary. But yeah, CityFan TV on Twitter, Ray CityFan TV 1. I'll start picking things up again, I think, tomorrow, do some transfer talk on YouTube about who City might be getting besides Harry Kane and Jack Grealish.
Yeah, well, we can talk about Jack Grealish. That's pretty much done. Ankit, where can I find you, mate?
Yes, guys. So you can find me on RCBN Chelsea Fan TV. So it's RCBN. RCB is actually a cricket franchise in India. So that tells you that, yes, you can find some cricket, content on my channel as well on YouTube. And of course, I'm a Chelsea fan. So it's Chelsea and cricket content that you find, which is kind of unique in itself. But yes, more of football content with Chelsea. And yes, I have just started covering the Euros as well. So I'm sure you guys will like it. But apart from that, yes, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram as RCB and Chelsea Fan TV. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention about cricket. Brad, where can I find you, mate?
On Twitter, you can follow me at Fulltime Focus. And if you love listening to me waffle 10 minutes to answer one question, I work alongside Chris, who is a great host. He's putting some great shows together on Leicester Till I Die TV. He's looking to take that channel into its bracket where it gets monetized. So he's closing in on 650 for subscribers.
Yeah,
he's looking to get for so if you could help him get that, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah, we'll try and get there because he's about 80 hours away now.
Yeah, he's really close at 3.9k in watch time. So even if you're just cooking on, even if you're just putting the cooking on, you want some background tunage, or if you know someone who's a Leicester fan, guide them to us, because I do a lot of shows on there with him and as long with all the other hosts. And it honestly, it's a great laugh. And a bias, even if I wasn't working there and I was just popping on every so often, I enjoy some of the content he goes up with. So give it a watch, get him to them goals.
And I think Brad, you can tell that I'm always there on that TV as well as on the chats. Just so you know.
Yeah. Ankit's getting a shirt delivered, a free. He's getting one of them half and half shirts, like a scarf. He's going to get a Chelsea Leicester one for that season. So yeah,
I take that banter with a pinch of salt, but that's okay. That's
You can tell when someone's not an Arsenal fan when they buy an half and half Tottenham and not Arsenal scarf. I've never seen someone do that one time. They said, "You are serious?" He said, "What?" He said, "Are you going to wipe your ass with that afterwards?" He said, "What? Yeah." But no, he said, "No." He said, "Yeah, you see that bottom bit with the Tottenham bit? You're going to wipe your ass with it or set fire to it." I went, "No, it's a scarf." I said, "Well, call yourself an Arsenal fan." I don't get these people. They sell them a half and half, and I'm like, mate, it's a North London derby. He said, yeah.
Half and half scarf, £10. I'll pay you a £5 to cut it in half now.
How about I pay you £10 to set them all on fire?
Hang on. How we've got on about talking about these mid-table clubs, Arsenal and Spurs? What's going on?
Because it's not just a charity stream for the fund; it's a charity for these unmentionable clubs, mate.
All right,
yeah, we got to look out for these little clubs. It cause upsets.
Fuck off. Oh God. Anyway, do hit that like and subscribe button, and of course you can help support Children's Liver Disease fight with liver disease by hitting the membership button as well. But yeah, until then, we are back tomorrow with just more football and actually F1 content coming on as well. So make sure you check into that tomorrow. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Boom.
Bloody hell, and then there was two, mate.
That wasn't too bad, actually.
No, it wasn't.
I've got to stop preparing a bit more.
My camera's saying you're still live.
Oh, shit.